자, 미국도 뭐 미국 관련된 영상이 뭐 하나 나왔나 봐요. 얼마 전에 독일 나왔잖아요. 이제 장비도 바뀌니까 그런 것 같은데 미국의 판터 사냥꾼 1차 대전 후 전차는 전장의 필수 불가결한 요소가 되었다. 이것도 뭔지 한번 봅시다.
After World War
이거
I,
그냥 구축
tanks
시리즈
became a
설명이야.
fixture of European battlefields, but the US, mostly because of the local geographic conditions, was not as impressed with the whole idea. That's why,
그렇다더라고요.
at the start of World War
미국이
II,
아무리
the American
뭐가
army found
부족해도
itself in a pretty
왜
precarious
판터나
place,
티그
as their
상대로
tanks were simply not
혐오만
adequate for the
보냈을까?
tasks at hand.
그것도 관통도 별로 안 좋으네. 그게
American engineers didn't take long to develop
그때
the
쓰고
legendary
있던
Sherman,
구축들 있잖아.
but long
자주
before that,
보겠죠.
there was a separate plan in the
걔들이
US to develop a
충분히
specialized
이제
anti-tank
상대할 수 있다
vehicle,
생각했다 그러더라고.
a lightly armored but well-armed tank destroyer.
그쪽도
Initially, the US
울버린이나
military
뭐
hoped to
헬켓이나 이런
receive
거
this new
보면
vehicle in
관통이
as early
어마무시하잖아.
as the
그게 사실
1930s.
구축이 아니라
But as there was no
자주포죠.
suitable platform for it,
일종의.
development stalled. Engineers were looking for a platform that would be highly mobile, highly reliable, and could carry a powerful armament. All of that at the same time. To make matters worse, there was no consensus on
아까
any of
독일
those
턴에도 맞아.
requirements, including the need
아무튼
for a
셔먼은
powerful
근데
gun.
대신에 그 내부 공간이 넓어가지고 엄청나게
In
활용이
1941, there
가능했죠.
was no longer any time to pick and choose. And so the US was forced
새로운
to start
전차포
the mass
생산을
production of
해야
a new
됐습니다.
SPG
예.
based on the M3 half-track. However, the military quickly realized that the new
미국
tank
애들이 이제
destroyer wasn't really effective against modern tanks,
기상전 해보면서
as its
딱 느낀 거지. 야,
75mm
티그
gun, developed in
무섭구나.
1897,
독일 전차도
wasn't
무섭구나.
exactly a high-end armament that they were hoping for. To be fair, the vehicle still performed pretty well against armored targets in northern
근데
Africa. But the
전쟁사를
unfortunate
보면
specifics of both the platform and
느끼는
the
게,
gun were putting too many American lives at risk.
절대 고성능 기체가 전쟁을 주도하지 않았어요. 그런 적이 없었던 것 같아요.
Fortunately, it didn't take long for
적절한
American engineers to come up with a
성능이
solution.
떨어진단 말이야.
They finally
적절한
had a
성능에
proper
많은
platform,
양,
the new M4A2 medium
많은
tank,
양.
and a proper gun, the 76mm T12 cannon. Insights accrued
어떻게
during the
보면
development of the
그
M4
독일의
helped
우리
the
지금
team come
현대로
up with the
친다면
sloped armor
K9은
arrangement for the hull.
살아남고
The
독일의
last piece of the puzzle was that the army
한자우젠
requested an
2000인가 걔는 이제
SPG with a
도태되는
fully
게 그런
rotating
느낌이죠.
turret, and not a vehicle with a fixed or casemate superstructure. Despite all that, engineers managed not only to solve this puzzle, but to actively
딱 그때
improve the
필요한
design.
성능을
They succeeded
충족시키면서
in making the hull light enough for the vehicle to be pretty
가성비가 나와야
mobile,
되는 거죠.
as required by the original specifications.
그렇죠. 이런 구축들 이게 자주
The
나오거든요.
end result of all that hard work
요런
was
애들
the
때문에
M10 tank
이제
destroyer, featuring a newly
셔먼에
developed hull
원래
and modern armament.
76mm 관통 좀
1942,
높은 애
it was pretty
있잖아.
much
그거를
everything that the
배치를
US Army had hoped
늦게 했다
for.
그러더라고.
The US quickly
만들었는데도.
started producing the M10 in
이력전선에.
large numbers, with thousands upon thousands of SPGs shipped to their own units, to the USSR, as well as to the forces of the French resistance. The M10 could easily destroy the Panzer IV and comparable vehicles even at long ranges,
M10
which made the
grizzly.
engagements a lot safer for American troops. That's not to say that the brand new tank destroyer was
울버린은
completely
뭐였지?
without flaws.
이거 울버린
For
아닌가?
instance, it had a terrible turret rotation speed, as the crew had to use a hand crank to rotate the turret. Furthermore, its 76mm gun was already not powerful enough to fight the most
실신무리가 아직
advanced
반패
German
부족했다.
vehicles,
그치?
most notably the Panther.
그렇죠. 판터와 싸우게.
It wasn't just the US that was searching for a solution to this new problem. Across the pond, the British armed forces were
아니
using
근데
more than
따지고 보면
1,500
이
M10s.
전쟁사가 이제 다
Naturally, they
알잖아.
wanted to give the vehicle more
미국은
firepower, and they achieved that by outfitting it with a British
따지고 보면요.
17-pounder.
2차 대전
And it
이후로
worked. The new gun was
실은
capable of piercing
전쟁에서
the defenses of
단 한 번도
Panthers,
이긴 적이 없는
but
거야.
all the other flaws of the original
한국전도
M10 were still there.
참전했지만 그냥 반반으로 가버렸잖아.
But American engineers weren't
베트남
twiddling
쳤고
their thumbs either.
아프가니스탄 철수.
And as early as 1943, they
우크라이나.
started testing a successor to the M10
애너들이
that
어떻게
was
된
based
거야?
on the same platform.
아메리키 퍼스트.
This time, the military decided to equip the tank
가는데 봐도
destroyer with a
터지고 다녀.
90mm
이름
cannon that was
벌리는데.
originally a heavy anti-aircraft gun, playing a role similar to the German Pak-43. The problem was that the new armament didn't solve any existing issues with the turret, like the unhandiness of the design for the gunner. What's worse, the new gun also introduced a slew of new problems. As a result, a decision was made to design a brand new turret, with powered traverse and more space for the crew. But
이제
by
국가
that point,
시스템
the US actually
대결에서는 크게
decided
한번
to stop
이겼죠.
producing the
최근에
M10
이제
as it was gradually
소비에트
becoming
연방하고
obsolete.
이제 미국하고. 그래서 이제 그 어떻게 보면 그 승리를 이제 만끽한 거였죠.
Naturally, the team behind the project started to look for an alternative, a different chassis that they could mount their brand new turret on. But in the end, the M36 that was accepted
1994년에
into
배치한
service in
M36이
1944
뭐지?
still turned out to be a bit of a hype.
M36이 뭐지?
A new turret on the old M10 platform. The original M36 as well as its
헬켓은 뭐였죠?
M36B2
헬켓 언제 나오노?
were both
M36이
based
헬켓
on the
아이가?
M10. But it's worth noting that there were also a few tank destroyers of
M36이
the
헬켓
new
아닌가?
series that used the Sherman M4A3 chassis. Those were designated M36B1.
그렇죠. 그러니까
Both types of the
그쪽 애들은
M36 fought well,
아니
and not
국방이라고
just
말할 것도
against
없더라고요.
Panthers and Tigers, but also against many other vehicles long after the end of World War II. The M36 was also used in Korea, in other
M36이
parts of Asia,
헬켓 맞나?
and even in
아닌가?
Yugoslavia in the 1990s.
자, 이거 뭐 아시는 분들이
But any
이제
video
이야기해
on World
주겠죠.
War II era American
내가 아는 거지. M18이 헬켓이다 맞다. 헬켓 밑에 포탑 속도 선해드리는 그게 M36이었구나.
triad of iconic American tank destroyers of the time.
M18이잖아요, 누구요? 그걸 어떻게 까먹어요?
The M10 and the M36. as the
이
Army
중에서
wanted to
헬켓이
add
제일
yet
좋아요.
another fast
주포
tank
성능이
destroyer
제일
to the roster.
좋아서라기보다
The
기동이야.
M18 was an
역시
extremely lightweight,
역시
highly
기동이
mobile
되게
vehicle
중요해.
on a new fast chassis. Armed with a
현대전 전차도
76
기동이 엄청
millimeter
중요합니다.
gun. It was a
그 중에서도
perfect fit
가장
for
중요한
American tank
기동이
destroyer
뭐 최고
battalions
속도가
with
뭐
their
100km
tactic
되고
of
이게
rapid
아니래요.
deployment,
제로
followed
100이래.
by an equally
그러니까
quick
포탄
disengagement
발사하고
after
적군이
fire.
발사할 때 급기동으로 이동하는 거 있잖아. 그거를 최대한 빨리
In real
해야지
life,
안전하니까.
all three of those tank destroyers were often used as a readily available
헬켓 이제
alternative to
5.3
conventional
됐어요.
tanks.
다 올라갔잖아.
Obviously, it was
다
the Sherman
올라가니까
that
좀
was the
올라가도 되는
backbone
거
of the
아니야.
American offensive. But thanks to their well-designed
원래 엄청
chassis and fully
낮았는데
rotating turrets,
이게
those tank
기동
destroyers
오선더
were
시스템
often
자체가
deployed in the same
방어력보다
capacity.
기동이 너무 좋거든요.
The Wolverine, the Slugger,
거기다
and the Hellcat,
적절한
a
관통이
spectacular
있으니까
achievement of the American
헬켓이
defense
너무
industry.
승률이 잘 나오나 봐.
Which one is
점점
your
점점
favorite, by the
올라가서
way?
지금은 이제
Tell us in the
5.3까지 갔나
comments
봅니다.
below.
원래는 5.3이 아니었어. 결국 이 영상의 꽃은 결국 이리저리 설명했지만 헬켓이구만. 끝. 헬켓이네.